Every time we begin watercolor painting, we always think of what to draw and what to paint. And the beauty of the medium is that sometimes you can just let yourself go and paint what you want. So today, I'm not going to take anything specific. I just want to teach you all how to draw a tree branch and a tree and how it branches out. And I'll put it in a composition such a way that it looks like a lovely watercolor painting. So as usual, I'm going to start my background by giving a wet on wet. So I wet my paper and then I decide that it should be in a deep dark forest. So let me give a light blue, Prussian blue background, and I think I need a bit of, so here I have my other palette with my brown. Take a bit of brown and mix it with the blue. Get a got a sienna. Then I darken out the edge, because always the top of the sky will be darker, and then I want the sunlight to stream in through this part, so I leave it lighter. Just let yourself go, don't worry about mistakes. Because as you know, there are no mistakes in art. You can always, there are only happy accidents. And that's going to be my ground where I'm going to draw my trees in. So I'm going in a circular format because I know I want the center of my painting lighter than the rest of it. So in my mind, I've decided that that's what I want. Be spontaneous. Don't let anything hold you back. If you want it any other way, feel free to do that. But what I'm doing is just applying a background or a base on which I'm going to put my trees in. I'd like to have some sunlight streaming in, so I'll remove the excess paint, and then I darken this part a little bit more. And Prussian blue and brown mixed will give a nice dark shade, and I'm going to, maybe I have some grass here or something, just what I want. I'm going to let this dry. So either you can use a hair dryer to dry it. If not, you can just let this dry for some time and come back to your painting. Meanwhile, in your head, you can think of what you want your composition to be. Do you want lighter trees at the back, and how many trees you want at the front? And that, when this dries, I'll show you how to do that. My picture is now fairly dry. I did add a bit of green to give it that deep enchanted look of a forest. So now what I'm going to draw are trees. And trees are something really simple and easy to draw. And it's something that you need to learn to draw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the colors that I need to draw my trees and compose my composition. What I want in my picture is now some trees very light in the background fading away, and then here right in front I will draw some dark trees. So I'm going to draw the outline and set my composition. That is an important thing, how you set your composition. So I say that I want some very light trees. So I take some browns and blues and mix it together and add a lot of water to this. So I get a very dark green, and that one I'll sort of you must remember that when it dries, see, I'm branching off. This will be my top of my tree, the bottom of my tree. My base. That's one tree. It's how few simple lines. I draw a lighter tree, so more water behind, somewhere here. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. It's a tree. It's an organic form. You can always fix it to the way you want. Maybe a little lower. You see, I don't have any particular picture that I'm copying from. So that's why I said observation is very important in nature. You sort of, every time you go out, you look around at how things form and how things are around you. And then when you get down to doing your picture, you can actually make it look as realistic as you can. And you don't need a picture to copy from. You just can take things off your memory. So that I'm going to go on and on building more and more trees in the background. Then as it comes to the center, this whiter portion, I'm going to add in more water, a little more blue to make it look a little more mystic. And a brown, bit of brown. It's almost blue. And then to that, I'll mix more water, make it as watery as possible because it's going to be the lightest shade I'll apply at the back. It's like more like autumn trees. Have a bit of grass here. one I'll add a bit more green and blue, bit of brown. See, now the trees are almost coming closer to me, so it's going to become darker. I'm doing this with a palette so that you can see the colors I'm mixing. As I come closer to me, my color gets brighter and darker. And lesser water. So as you add more water, the pigment becomes more translucent, and the lesser water becomes darker and more opaque. And we play with this translucency and opacity to get things that are closer to us and further away from us in a sort of like an enchanted forest way. So we continue darkening it, and you should always know that it's interesting when you give different shades of browns, from starting from the lightest you go to the darkest. That gives a kind of 3D feel to the tree. So that's what I'm doing here now. I'm darkening, adding more branches as I come down. If you notice, the tree trunk below is much, see, I'm going to do it here, okay, so that you can get to see it. As I go up, my tree trunk becomes narrower and then it branches out. So I can fatten it out as much as I want here. Maybe I take a thicker brush so it works out faster. Okay. Feel free, just organic branches. I've thickened it out here, and as bring it down, maybe another one branch here. This one. Thicken it out thin as it goes up. So I'm mixing black, the brown, see, and then I wash my brush off, take a bit of Prussian blue. I'm going to bring the blue here so that you can see. So I mix the blue and the brown, you get this lovely shade that gives you, it's so different from once I apply it here, you can see it's not black, but it gives that feel of shadow and black. I don't personally like using black color as it is. I like to mix and get my darker tones. But that's a personal choice, it's up to you. If you want to darken, you can. So I'm going to do this part, and I want it nice and dark because it's right in front. Maybe you have grass growing here. And behind, I'd like my light bluish tones, so I'm going to mix that. You see, I've just taken the cobalt from here and mix a bit of my sap green. See, it's a nice bluish green that you get. To that I put a dot of this brown, so that, and then I lighten it out with water as much as I can. So I'm going to do the grass at the back. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be, it's like a pathway. Maybe I can have a few more trees here. Much darker. Sort of. And then I have a bit of yellow that I like to add. It's up to you how you want to take it. As opposed to when you're looking at a picture and drawing, here you have the freedom of choosing what you want, where you want it to go, and you're not restricted by looking at a picture. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to add a few more, maybe some tall grasses. I will add another tree here because that's what I want. Make it a bit darker. So it's up to you to make it as interesting and as creative. Once you've learned to draw one tree, then it's just a matter of duplicating how it goes. And there you have. See, sometimes I don't even have to add the depth. I just have to hold my brush laden with paint and it sort of blends in and creates that depth that I require for the tree. And a little bit more darker shades here. Can you see how I'm not moving my brush? I'm just holding this water laden thing right here and it sort of creates that beautiful, it spreads on that area and creates that feeling of depth that you want. I add a few leaves, just the tip of my brush here and there, so it looks interesting. See, I'm just working with these two colors and building a sense of I will take a bit of yellow, add in. And oh, I'm doing it. See how these are the colors I'm working with. I'm not using anything more, just a very watered down version when it comes to the trees at the back. Tip of your brush, just watch how I do that. The leaves, it's quick strokes. I take paint here, I take paint here, and then I have this paint and watch the way it goes down like this. Just little strokes, dots. Don't have to define the leaf because it's really far off. As it is higher, it becomes denser, so I put more leaves in front of us. And then this tree, I'm going to start making it darker as like this. I didn't do it initially because I wanted it to dry so that when I apply the paint, it's pretty opaque. It's not too much of water. And watch how I leave some parts here to show the grass and then take it up. So the lighter color grass remains there. And then I just give short dabby strokes like this. Then I mix a bit more black with it, the brown. I can take a bit of red. So, and then water to water it down. When I want to make it opaque, watch this area. It's when I reach the top, I take it. See, when I'm at this part of the stem, I sort of flatten out my brush, splay it out like this, and that gives me a nice thick line. But when I want to draw the finer branches, I just take it out. I'm using the tip. Darkening it out. See, some parts I leave it lighter brown, some parts I darken it out and then this exercise also teaches you brush control because you are in control of the brush and you sort of decide how thin or how thick your brushes are. It's a good exercise to learn to be spontaneous as well as get good control over your brush strokes. Because you have no picture to follow, you sort of defining your own lines and using the brush as spontaneous as possible. Darken it out here. That's it. Now I'm going to work on some fine details here since it's... So I pretty much got what I wanted in my composition. So I'm just going to give the finishing touches for this so that I can just finish it off with that. Yeah, I shall add some depth here and there. Just, you can see how the sunlight is streaming in here, and then I add a bit of grass. Maybe a bit of little details here and there. Such a quick medium to work with, and it's such a spontaneous medium sometimes. To just understand values and to just... That's it. And I want to darken some areas here with blue, just to add a sense of depth. And that's it. That is my visual. So what I'll do now is I have sort of added a masking tape because I wanted a border to my paper. So I'm going to remove that, and I have to wait for it to dry. And sort of remove that gently. Gently removing this part of it. That is your Enchanted.